Hello everyone, today this video I'm doing just to discuss the importance of cleaning the colon in detoxification. I want to bring up a few things that I've seen being said and people pushing certain ideas that haven't really supported what I've had to go through in my experience. And I'm not saying that everyone is the exact same, of course, but the more I'm dealing with clients and overhearing things in the community, a lot of people aren't aware that the symptoms they're developing from detoxification and starting to clean their body are actually kind of the byproduct of not helping assist the colon in getting rid of some of the waste. So as we dig deeper into the small intestine, we start to get things out. It starts out as just black stuff, refer to it as dirt or mud. It's just like the juices will hydrate that and continue to sweep that out. But as you get much deeper, you start getting into mucus and mucus threads and mucoid plaque and things like this. And this stuff's much heavier, stickier, like gluey, especially the mucus. And when it hits the colon, it doesn't move very well, especially for people who haven't had that serious issues in their colon. And the mucus gets on the tissue of the colon rather than just if they've got backed up waste in the colon, it might move better because it's not on the actual tissue. And from the tissue, it can get stuck. But then if you have a severely backed up colon, like lots of mucoid plaque and stuff like that that's in there, then it's already having trouble moving anything anyway. So you're going to find that likely it's not going to come out either. And a lot of these people on the carnivore diets and stuff like that have been raw, been vegan, and their health has gone well for a while, and then things have started slowly declining, is that the more that you hydrate and clean, the more things start to swell up, things that are impacted inside the bowels, which is really the outside of the body, internalized, and the more that stuff begins to swell and break loose, that can take years, honestly. And if people aren't really doing much juicing and stuff like that, then it can take a long time. So especially people that are like eating a lot of salads and dense fruits, not really hydrating, but it is obviously taking the pressure off the body that you would be demanding of the body if you were eating heavy, dense cooked food and stuff like that. However, you're still not giving it that hydration and allowing it to absorb that the living liquid and the nutrients to then flush. So especially for people like myself, I was doing a lot of rapid cleansing with juice fasting and stuff like that, and then sticking to a high juicy fruit diet. I was detoxing quite quickly, and it got to a point where after 100 days juice and then maybe another 4 months, maybe not even that, maybe another 2 months, 3 months, I felt stuff was stuck there, wasn't really moving that well. I was doing enemas, and I've been pretty consistent with them, and that helped, but until this point, I'd never felt something that wasn't movable. It was not like, I couldn't get rid of it. And nowadays I refer to enemas as like blowing a kiss in the colon. It just is real gentle, it doesn't really do that much. Once you've reached the deeper stages, once you're really getting stuff out, which I don't doubt a lot of people don't have some severe thick impactions, mucoid plaque, but it is common that they will. And it just depends your history, if you've had trouble with constipation and stuff like that, if you've been on a high meat diet or you've been eating meat, potatoes together and stuff like that, depending what processed foods. You can assume some would have more than others. You can also tell by the eyes a little bit. But almost as a rule now, and this is where I'm finding the necessity to speak out about this, because I'm seeing not only clients but overhearing things in the community of people saying that they're experiencing a lot of issues, and these people that go carnivore are doing this to bypass the problem. Because as you start moving these impactions from the small intestine, you start swelling them up, you pretty much in a way activating this toxic waste, because you're not only moving it, breaking it loose, you're hydrating it. Now the toxins that's in that are hydrated into the blood circulating that again. It's also being moved into the colon, and that's where it tends to get stuck. So it just sits there, and it was already sitting there, but it wasn't hydrated and it wasn't active. So now you've dragged bacteria into the colon, and this is a lot of the issues that people are going through right now with the transitioning off raw or even vegan is to a meat diet, because that really starts to kill that bacteria. Yes, they live off the waste in the colon and stuff like this, but without sugar, there isn't that much for them to feed off as well. So there obviously will remain bacteria in the body, but it severely decreases with a sugar-based diet, and decreases on, say, a ketogenic or a carnivorous diet where they're not really consuming food. So it seems to, okay, I feel better, these problems that I've never really had until I spent years on a raw vegan detoxification diet. And these people they're just not cleaning their colon, pretty much. Like if you've ticked every other box, like Tim Sheath, I know a little bit about his story and how he did the big water fast, and after that things got even worse. It was like, yeah, your body's just dumped a whole heap of stuff, mate, and it's stuck, it's not moving, and it's creating all these other symptoms. So for me, even juice fasting and stuff like that, I was moving a lot of stuff that wasn't really being eliminated properly. And this is where it can come down to people might not have problems removing this stuff, whether it's because their bowels are much more, they're just healthier bowels, the peristalsis is working better, they don't have any prolapsing, any kinks, any spasticity, stuff that's making it hard for the bowels to move things. And I know for myself, transverse descending link, I have a little kink or a little something there that's just, things get stuck a little bit. And obviously eating a fruit diet is much less likely to cause an issue, but I can still feel it now and again. Fasting and fixing parathyroid, connective tissue is going to fix that. But it's just stuff you have to work with. Becoming body aware is going to help that. It's going to make it so you notice things and can deal with it straight away. And these people, maybe they can feel it, maybe they're body aware, but they don't put two and two together, so they just sit there and suffer it. They look online for answers. Someone's saying they've got a resolve doing a carnivorous diet, and it's just not the way to go about it. And this is where I want to address people like Lauren Lockman, but I know he's not one. I'm not trying to single anyone out. And I know these guys have been doing it for a while. I've got a lot to learn. But when it comes to this specific topic, experientially, I know the truth when it comes to the essential nature of cleaning the colon, especially when it relates to water fasting. Because so much has moved, and he knows that. There's nothing like a water fast that can move this stuff through the colon. Nothing. And like I said, maybe at one point that was true, where like, yeah, you don't need Enemas, you don't need Colonics, too invigorating, the body can't handle that level of whatever. I would argue that the body can't handle chewing on or having itself chewed on by toxic material than a little bit of water going in and out. You can get gravity colonics these days and stuff like that. It's not that something I do. I'd rather something more pressurized. My colon can handle it. I think it's a very, very strong muscle. And obviously, yes, we don't want to overload anything, but I can honestly say without Colonics and Enemas, my water fast, I would have dropped quick. So a lot of people are saying when they go on these diets and stuff and eventually get deeper into detox, like people that are leaving this diet to carnivore and stuff like that, saying they don't have the energy anymore and stuff like that. Well, for me, when I was water fasting, and even when I'm not, like if my colon is not clean, and not just like, oh, it has something in it, like I'm not pedantic about it, but if it's severely backed up with mucus and stuff like that, 9 times out of 10 I can feel that in my adrenal glands, I can feel that in my energy in my body. And that's where I'm getting a lot of feedback from people now in Facebook groups. People are messaging me on Instagram, and I've even actually heard from a woman that go to the Colonics here in Brisbane, Australia, whose brother went to Tanglewood, I believe. He went somewhere in Costa Rica. I can only imagine it was Lauren's centre, and obviously he was promised all kinds of things. Yes, this will fix this, this and this, and it didn't, or it did somewhat, but now he has more issues. He's feeling sick, and because he's been told by Lauren not to do Colonics and Enemas, he's taken that on faith, but now he's avoiding the actual proper rejuvenation of his body. And I know for Lauren, like, there must be more people, mate, that are going through this, where they're coming to you and they're hearing what you're saying. Like, everything you're saying is spot on, and then when they go through this process, refeed and stuff like that, they just don't feel tip top. And I would hate to think that something as simple as cleaning the colon would be the only thing that would stop anyone from leaving your center, or maybe they have to leave to clean their colon, but they get to give good feedback, because if they're taking that word too serious and not addressing, like, they can feel it. They can feel it. That's the thing. I've felt it, and I just ignored anything and just always went with my intuition. I know Dan McDonald's pretty, not big on colonics, but big on cleaning the colon and assisting the colon. I think that's just where we're at as a species, and I don't doubt that for whatever reason your body was capable of getting rid of that stuff without the assistance of things like that. But some of us don't have that liberty. Sometimes there are certain scenarios at play that some people just aren't going to bounce back the same way until that colon is properly cleaned. Because I know for a fact I wasn't really eliminating much on my water fast. Enemas helped, Colonics solved the problem, but if I would just wait and wait and wait, like, I'm feeling it backing up, it just sucks bad. Adrenals dropping, I can barely breathe. Like, as soon as I clean that colon, this is mid-water fast, like I'm talking 2 weeks in, even 3 weeks in, I'm feeling like I'm like about to give up. And I clean the colon out, bang, I'm like, I could do another 3 weeks, because it's just like such a weight off the nervous system. We all know autonomic trunk, neural hub branches out. So yeah, I just felt really important to speak on this. There's a lot of people that I wanted to elaborate on this topic for, just to kind of get the word out, but I don't want to send a massive message or a voice note to everyone. I think it's better that I start doing videos to convey things rather than saying the same thing 100 times. But yeah, when it comes to this, I think for those people who aren't getting remedy on this diet and finding issues here and there, it's like, are you cleaning the colon? That's always my first question now. And 9 times out of 10, no. The answer is no. People don't really want to do that. I can understand why, but if that's the only thing that's going to hold you back from reaching true health and you aren't getting this stuff out, you can feel it building. People that have any kind of pinching in here or bloating and stuff like that, it's just stuff backing up, and we need to get it out. It's like, it's just the way it is. Some of us are going to be able to move this stuff a little more effortlessly than others. Some of us aren't going to be able to get it out, depending the state of the colon. Like I said, if things are being kinked or prolapsed, sandflies everywhere right now. Solve the issue. Don't just go to a carnivore diet and avoid bacterial influencing food. Don't deprive yourself of actual nutrition because you don't want to address the core issue. Yeah, I think that's about it. So anyone that's going through this, reach out. I recommend a closed system colonic. Gravity fed is probably not a bad idea, but when you start out, I think the body does need some kind of invigoration in there, because this stuff is really hard and really solid, and the more you hydrate it, it will gradually swell, break off, and it breaks a layer off, and then you're up against another layer of hardened stuff, and you just keep going until it all chips away. Nowadays, I don't get any dark stuff out of my guts. I get yellow mucus, white mucus, that is it. And I have chronic malabsorption in my small intestine, so now pretty much every day I'm drinking juice or I'm eating juicy fruits, and that's absorbing straight into this mucus. So eventually when that comes out, then all my food and liquid that I'm drinking will go straight on the tissue of the small intestine. So I've got my colon down to the tissue, and it's now just the small intestine is chipping away all this thick mucus. That's like not just mine, it's my mother's had that in her body. Now I've been built from a place that's full of stagnation, so I was like, got a head start on being chronically malabsorbed. But once you start to get that out and it hits the colon, yes, it's gonna get stuck. So just keep sweeping down with the small bowel, use bowel cleansing herbs if need be. That definitely fast tracks it, but even when I don't, I'm still moving it, whether or not I'm using anything that's gonna help pull and bind toxins from the bowels. And once it's done, it's done. Like, it may be an effort to go through this for a year or two on and off. It'll get worse, go down, get worse, go. What you gonna do about it? You just have to get it out. That's where we're at right now. And once you've achieved that level of cleanliness, you don't have to worry about it. And honestly, like, I'm going through it day in, day out, where I can feel things moving and stuff like that. It's very small stuff now. It's just mucus, really. As it swells up, it becomes more of an issue, but while it's in there, you don't notice it. If I avoided, say if I were just eating dried fruit and sipping water, probably wouldn't move much of it, but I want it out. And we have to kind of, in my opinion, fast track that process however way. We don't want to overburden the colon, we don't want to tippy-toe through detox. We want to balance our lives but ride it out and get it done. Otherwise it's just something weighing over you. So if you're not experiencing symptoms, good. If you're not tuning into the body enough, maybe try and see what putting more attention in specific areas could bring about in terms of more awareness over the body. But for those who are suffering in this way, address it. Don't be afraid to put water up your bum. Like, we've put far worse down our mouth and not all of it's come out. So reach out, anyone that needs any extra advice. But I wish you all the best with dealing with this problem, and don't let something like that get in the way of true health when you've gone the distance, water fasting and stuff like that. You're this close, and all you need to do is get that stuff out, and then you're free of any health symptoms or issues. So.